And away we go. All right, welcome everybody. Wall Street Jesus here. Saturday sweep series open to everybody today. So welcome everybody. Those are mostly Twitter. I know Lucci's a big Instagram guy, stock twits, the works. But welcome everybody. Just a little monkey wrench into things for those of you who are members. For members, we have a Saturday webinar every Saturday. So I want to keep the same outline, but initially, because this is open to everybody, and I hate to put the word noise on it because, like we mentioned, it is noise, but there's just a lot of questions, a lot of crap out there, and I have to get stuff off my chest. Okay, whether I know these people or not, honestly, right? It doesn't affect me one way or the other, but I feel like I have to get it off my chest and let it be known to people who follow me. We got a decent wave of new members recently over the last couple of weeks. So I want to give them a heads up on things. So just a little wrinkle initially, and then we'll get into the same outline as we usually do on a Saturday. Okay. And here's how I want to start it off, basically. All right. And this is, those of you who know me, okay, no, I'm not a pat myself on the back type guy. I'm not cocky. I don't make forecasts. I don't make predictions. I don't use the word I ever. Okay. And that doesn't make me any cooler, but I'm just saying you'll never hear me tell you, I told you so. I picked this. I did this, because this game's not about that. All right. And I try to stay away from the forecast and the prediction game as much as possible, because as good as it makes you feel, as right as it makes you feel at times, it's a complete waste of time because you get in the habit of that and you're heading for complete destruction in this game. All right. But I just want to touch on something initially here. Okay. Just so, again, it sticks in your heads for the next go around. Okay. And anytime I get repetitive, anytime I sound like a broken record, there's a method to my madness. All right. That approach works for me. The more I say things, the more I do things, the more I look at things become a habit. All right. And just like any sport, playing this game, you got to get in the habit of doing certain things efficiently. Okay. Otherwise, you got no shot at success. And you guys know that already. Okay. The tough part is putting that to work. But if you remember, okay, and this is as far as it gets to me with the pat on the back shit, but we had quite a few webinars. And I know it sounded corny at first, okay, or corny at the time when we were talking about it. All right, but if you remember, things were falling apart. All the bears were slapping 5 on social media. Everybody was talking about short. Everybody was talking about Armageddon. Nobody was talking about ever a potential rally, right? Like the market would never rally again. And I stress to you guys, all right, and all of you, whether you're members or not, whether you're just sitting there doing nothing, okay, you have to stay involved, okay? You have to keep your head up. You got to avoid the noise. Don't get frustrated by the negativity, the price action out there. Don't, forget that jealousy. Other people are making money on the short side while you're waiting for a certain opportunity or setup, because what I was trying to stress to you is the best part of those corrective phases, and nobody knows when they come to an end. A lot of times they come to an end when you least expect it, right? And you think back around Christmas, it's almost like a blur, all right? But the one thing you need to do, and if you're newer in the game, right? If you're just starting off, and I'm talking about just starting off over the last couple of years is nothing in this game. When you get into that type of climate, you got to do the opposite of what everybody else is telling you out there. Okay, and I'm not talking about price action, the market, and being bullish when people are bearish. Okay, you got a lot of, again, I'm not going to throw around names, but I see it all the time on Twitter and stuff like that. Take some time off, get away from the screen, when it's not your time. And all that stuff I realized over the years would have cost me not only money eventually, but an education in this game. Okay? And that's what I was trying to stress to you guys. Instead of getting negged out and wrapped up into what everybody else is doing, come to, if you trade for a living, if that's what you're looking to do, or if you have, ample time to where you're in front of the screen, come every morning, come to in front of your screen, come to your desk, sip your coffee, and just wait. Keep your eyes open, be ready, and wait. Because when they come, it's going to come. And you better be ready when they come if you're going to look to take advantage of opportunities like that. Okay? And my experience, it's nearly impossible. And I know a lot of traders claim they do it out there or can do it. Okay? But over the years that I've been in this game, and I've been in a long time, it's nearly impossible to go all in bearish as far as a bias and as far as positions. And then when the market does what it just did, flipping sides and now going bullish. All right. And again, you may have done that just now off this rally. Okay. But what I'm telling you is the majority of times you're not going to be able to do that. And that's just because we're wired as human beings. We're not wired properly to do that. There's a lot of psychology. There's a lot of emotion involved there. All right. And what you're seeing every day now are the bears that not only put, all money all in, they put themselves all in. Emotionally, they put themselves all in on the bearish side, to where this market goes higher and you're hearing every excuse in the book, right? They'll get angry. They'll bash the Fed. They'll bash you because you're posting call buying or a bullish chart. They're furious. And the reason why they're furious is because they're wrong and they can't understand why they're wrong. All right. And that's what this market is, though. That's what this market is. And you'll see on this post here, and I'll throw it out there. It's on private Twitter if you want to basically take a peek at it. But, everything I just explained to you, the only way you can get prepared in this game is if you have some sort of process. Okay. You can't come in just, slinging weeklies every day based on nothing or based on, the current environment out there on that particular week or how you're feeling on that particular day. There's got to be something you trust. There got to be signals you trust that get you prepared to take advantage of opportunities, your type of opportunities when they arise. All right. And that's basically what I'm saying here. It's not about making a gut prediction and being right on that, because the problem with that is you can get lucky. And unfortunately, you don't know if you got lucky or not. All right. So on our end, for those of you who are new and not members, okay, or those of you who may be new, all right, and to be honest, you guys know, we talk about it. There have been people in the steam room, and I'm sure on private Twitter, but I see it with my own eyes in the steam room, who will be on a webinar like this or hear me on the audio every single day talking about this stuff, and it goes in one ear and out the other, and pay it no mind and just do the complete opposite. But they're no longer with us, right? And we see it time and time again every time we go through some sort of phase like this. Okay, they'll just come in, they're making money on the short side. They won't pay attention to anything I'm saying because it's not happening right now in front of their face. and then they get run over and they're gone. Poof. And then they can blame the flow. They can blame me. They can blame the sentiment. They can blame whatever they want. They're angry. All right. But I'm telling you guys this for a reason. Okay. It's not about stock picks. It's not about the hot guru on Twitter who's nailed the last 5 plays and now people are all running towards him where he's due for a little losing streak and they hop on him and they lose their money. It's not about that this game. All right. It's about having a process, a game plan in place that gets you ready for the setup that you've been waiting for and allow you to take advantage. All right. And for us, all right, for those of us, in the Steam Room or on private Twitter who follow sweeper activity and sentiment, it's not too complicated. All right. We're not wasting our time trying to figure out retail sales. Okay, we're not trying to figure out earnings growth quarter over quarter or anything else of that magnitude. It's very simple, okay? We know that when bearishness reaches an extreme, that a turning point is likely in the near future, okay? Doesn't mean it's going to happen today because bearishness is at an extreme, right? As we saw last year. I mean, it happened to fall around the holidays where liquidity was abysmal, all right? And we saw the market continue to bleed through bearish extreme sentiment, right? But what was happening, it was just reeling in more and more bears. And then eventually, okay, the squeeze that follows will annihilate them. And, it's not magic. This is not crystal ball crap. This is how the market works. All right, so for us, when we see when our signals are reading bearish extreme, we have to be ready. Why? Because our trigger, what tells us or what will help us out on the timing of it all is wise guy sweeper activity. Okay? Because what that tells us is that forget about what we think. We're clueless. The best thing I did was look myself in the mirror early on in my career and admit to myself, I am clueless in this game. There are a lot of smarter, more intelligent people in this game who can't make a penny trading. And I have to admit to myself that I have no shot of outsmarting this game. All right. So our trigger was when the smart money starts to get aggressive. Okay. When they have that risk on approach, when they build up that appetite to where not only are they loading up on the equity side, but they're coming into the option market and sweeping the daylights call side. That will be our trigger to things are going to start to move in another direction. And it's that simple. Okay? And that's how the process, as simple as it may be, has kept me in the game for as long as I am here today. And that's over 20 years now. All right? And if you followed that process, a lot of you who are still around should pat yourselves on the back, because unlike some of the other traders out there who got wrapped up in the noise, right, and got hit over the head, you're still alive to play this game a little longer. All right. And again, it's got nothing to do with predictions or anything like that, because that stuff doesn't work. You see how you see talking heads on CNBC and Bloomberg, they're predicting what the market's going to be a year out or what this is going to be a year out. How the hell can you predict what the hell's going to happen a year from now? Right? We don't know what's going to happen in 2 days from now, let alone a year from now. But it's having faith in a game plan and allowing and sitting and waiting while things line up, and then being able to fire right? It's keeping you there, alert and ready to fire when things start to turn. Okay. And, I heard from a couple of guys on private Twitter, et cetera, who said, yeah, you know what, Jesus, I'm proud of myself. I hung in there. I wasn't trading much because there wasn't a lot of flow and blah, blah, blah. I didn't get wrapped up on the short side, but I didn't really take full advantage of the rally. I made money, but I didn't fire like I should have. And that's the stuff that you can't allow to get to you. All right, because you did the right thing. And the more you get comfortable, right, the more you build experience in this game, the more you build confidence in this game, sizing up and all that stuff comes on its own. There's more stress if you're sizing up more than you should, whether you're doing it right off a process or not. All right. You're looking to, especially as a new trader, or even if this philosophy is new to you, you're looking to build confidence. All right. You're looking to find something that you can find some consistency with. Not that you're going to run into 3 stocks and they're going to go higher and you think you'll never lose again, but something you're going to win, you're going to lose, but net, you're going to be profitable. That's the whole point of this. All right, so that's the process for us. All right, and that's the process I stress to you guys on an ongoing basis. All right, and like many of you brought to my attention early on before we started the webinar, the problem with the process is there's so much damn noise out there, especially now with all the social media and all. There's so much damn noise out there that if you get wrapped up in it, you may not even be aware of being wrapped up in it. It can, push you off course. All right. You can't, again, I think the most important thing, all right, besides the process, is you admitting to yourself that you're not going to find some loophole, that you're not going to find something in the market that the market doesn't know of already. All right. Remember how we were talking about as this market, okay, even before the market, right? Even before the market, you guys were bringing it up to me how this market was starting to roll over and nobody could figure out why, right? Nobody could figure out why. The banks, supposedly it was supposed to be a positive environment for the banks. They were going down every day. The industrials, they went down all of last year. The semiconductors were getting annihilated all year. Forget October. We talked about this ad nauseum. All right. And we weren't seeing the reasons for the selling. Okay, yeah, maybe a couple names here and there, they missed estimates, blah, 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 weak guidance. Overall, nobody could figure out why this market and sector by sector was just falling apart at the seams. And if you remember, as that was taking place, and as me included, we were all scratching our heads. We were taking guesses. We didn't know, right? The one thing we had to keep reminding ourselves is that eventually we're going to see why. We're going to see the reasons. And the likelihood is when we start to see the reasons, it's all over. Once all the riffraff get excited about the reasons why this market has been tattooed to the downside, the likelihood is that it's over. Okay? And what happened? All right? We start to see now, little by little, some scary signs out there, right? Especially Friday Did you see that retail sales number? Was it Friday? Friday, Thursday? Did you see that retail sales number? Thursday. Okay. Did you guys see that retail sales number? Oh my God. It was awful is an understatement, MJ. Understatement. Right? That's supposed to be a big number. So, and you started to see, right? Everybody, oh my God, panic. Holy what was that? Oh my God, that's recession. That's a recessionary number right there. Okay. And the market had a little bit of weakness. And then what did the market do yesterday? What did the market do? You think that this market didn't know that number was coming? That's why this market was bleeding to death. Worst plunge in 9 years, right, Jonathan? Worst plunge in 9 years. Okay. And if you remember, here's what was getting me feeling good. Okay. And aside from, you guys know, I mean, when there's sweeper activity like we've been seeing, I feel good. All right. No matter what. But aside from that, what really started to get me feeling good about things. All right. And you guys remember we were talking about it. We were excited to get into earnings season, right? And MJ, you know me. You've been with me a long time. Earnings, they're not something I ever get excited about, earnings season, because I don't play earnings. Okay? But for the first time in a long time, I was excited about earnings season. Why? Because we were going to get the true answer to what has already been factored in as far as bad news to this market. All right. And you started off with the banks and the semis at the beginning of earnings season. Two disasters. And what happened? They reported, for the most part, bad quarters, some awful, some not as bad as expected. They all ripped. All ripped higher. Okay? The worse the quarter, the bigger the rip. And again, the riffraff, everybody else scratching their heads. How's this happening? What the hell's going on here? That quarter's a bit, well, this market's lost its mind. It's not trading on fundamentals anymore. This is craziness. Markets never bottom on good news. Markets never bottom on good fundamentals. Never. You think the market is going to bottom as soon as earnings start to turn? So every riffraff and their mother can nail the lows? Months in advance they do that. So what we were seeing, the market, just like the market on the way down was telling us, things aren't looking too good. Okay? This quarter, the information the market was giving us was telling us that for the foreseeable future, maybe the next 2 quarters out, right? What does it say? The market looks out 6 to 9 months. The market is telling us that this is as bad as it's going to get. Okay? Stocks have factored in a lot of negativity. A lot of stocks factored in Armageddon. That's the way the market works. So my point is that no matter what, okay, you have to try to ignore everything you're hearing and seeing, no matter how intelligent it may sound to you. People may sound like they know what the hell they're talking about. Doesn't matter when it comes to this game. Maybe if you're writing articles, it matters. But as far as what we're trying to do, it doesn't matter. Yeah, and PFD brings up a great point. Apple, well, same thing, right? That Apple news had people flipping out of their chairs. All right, so again, the reason I started with this is because, and especially like on Twitter, when I post bullish activity, don't come to me with this nonsense, right? Don't come to me with your Fed excuses and you can't see the reasoning why stocks are going higher based on fundamentals. What the hell do you know? Okay, I'm in the game 20 years. I can't figure it out. You're going to tell me it's not making sense? Right? But if you want to have some longevity in this game, then you have to ignore this stuff. I hate to tell you, you have to ignore it. All right, so quickly on to, let's take going forward from here. All right, and again, these, quite a few signups over the last couple of weeks, and questions on Twitter with my regular Twitter. So I just want to give you all a starting point of where, when you see me post a sweep, what it means. Okay, there's no reason to overanalyze it. All right. When I say there's a bull sweeper in XYZ, that means there's an aggressive bet in XYZ. And in simple English, what that's going to translate into is a higher probability of momentum in the name over the short term. All right. So when you see that on my regular Twitter, that's all it means to you. Okay. Unfortunately, well, I mean, for members, I'm sharing, more about the action, and then they can weigh whether, it's worth their while to take a shot on it or not, and all that stuff. But basically, a sweeper in simple English means an aggressive bet that has a higher probability than without that bet of seeing momentum. All right. And if you're curious to see, what momentum I'm talking about, it's on several different scales, but one quick and easy way, you see me post a sweep, pull up an intraday chart. A lot of times you're going to see the momentum right there in front of your face, right there and then. So if you're a day trader, and you're just looking for the free information on Twitter, you could take advantage of it that way. All right. And even some of you new guys on private Twitter, I mean, in the room, I'm explaining a little bit more. But that's initially, like, I got the question, why do I post those small sweepers? Some of the strongest momentum, especially on an intraday basis, starts off with these small little sweeps. All right. It's getting our eyeballs on it before the rest of the world does. I'll give you guys an example, a perfect example of that. Okay, we had a name. You guys probably remember it. A lot of us played it. Let me get the symbol right. Where is it? Was it Zuo? How come it's not? Oh, I got to refresh it on here probably. Was it Zuo? I think it was Zuo, right? Zuo, yeah, that's it. All right, so basically, and I forgot who asked the question. It's not a bad question. You probably, a lot of people are wondering why I post those small sweeps initially. Okay. But Zuo is something a lot of us played, that initially started off with a 300 lot sweep, was peanuts. I think it was 20 grand, 25 grand. All right. Then doesn't mean we have to jump to buy the stock, right? We look at it. The first thing I did was find out what they do. Okay, the sector's been pretty hot, heating up. I look at the chart, not because I'm a technician, but I like to buy things before they move, not chase them. And I see, nice rally and some chop, right? Some nice consolidation here. This was the day it came in. Let me close it. So, make a long story short, our eyeballs are on it. You're playing options, you pull up an option chain, right? You're day trading the stock, you figure out, what amount you're comfortable with, where you would put a stop, what you may be looking for. You prepare, you're ready. Then they come in, they hit it again. That was enough for me to see, and a couple others. We jump in at least for the stock on a day trading basis. Okay, they came in, they hit it again. Make a long story short, that one little sweep gave us a heads up on action that ended up running like 5 times normal. And the stock was flat. Ran a buck and change. May end up even going higher. Probably will. That's why. All right. So that's the beauty of sweeper activity. They're instant momentum. The more the sweepers, the more the momentum, right? The better, the bigger, the larger the orders, or the cumulative, right? The larger the volume ends up, the stronger the momentum. So in simple English, that's the starting point to all the sweeper activity. And that's what we're looking for. That's why I like to buy stocks at a consolidation or pullbacks, because it's a heads up on a possible change in momentum. All right. So again, even if you're not a member and on the free Twitter, that's the best way to use any of the stuff I'm posting. Nothing more than that if you're on free Twitter. Here's another point I wanted to hit up, because there's nothing I can do about this. I get littered with questions on this nonstop because Flow is, I guess, more popular than ever now. It used to be only a handful of people following Flow. Now everybody has an option scanner. But for me, you got to understand something. Okay, a big order means nothing to me. All right, so when you're asking me why I didn't mention a large order in NVIDIA, or why didn't I talk about that $10 million put buyer in NVIDIA, it's because it meant nothing to me. All right, the amount of call buying and put buying daily on a day-to-day basis out there, you wouldn't believe how much call and put buying is out there. 99.9% of it is absolutely useless. All right, so we're looking for just a specific type pattern of buying. It's got nothing to do with size. All right, so if you're following me on the regular Twitter, okay, if the symbol doesn't come out of my mouth, or actually if the symbol's not posted on my feed, I got nothing to do with it. I got nothing to do with it. All right. And if you're a member, if you're only interested, or if that's why you signed up, to get all the large orders, then you should honestly cancel your membership. And I can guide you to places where you can get a scanner for, I guess some of them are free now. And you can lose your money like that. All right. And I don't mean to sound like arrogant. I'm telling you from experience that if you're playing call buyers and put buyers off a scan based on size, I mean, just think of it logically. How do you know what you see a $5 million put buyer in NVIDIA? How do you know what's going on around it? Did he roll? Is it tied to stock? Is it part of a spread? You can't base it on that. If I only had access to that information, I wouldn't be trading off Flow. All right, so just so you understand, again, especially if you're members on private Twitter, in the room I'm on audio, so you guys know, but if I'm not talking about something, there's a reason I'm not talking about it. Now, you may want to find something to fit your bias. That's a pretty popular thing, right? You're bearish, so you want to find a big put buyer to make you feel better about it. Yeah, I'm not telling, that's not a smart thing to do, but I get it. All right, but if I'm not, if I'm the more, and you guys know from me being on audio, those of you around me, I get pretty excited when there's aggressive activity. Right? A lot of people say they hear it in my voice because I'm a degenerate. So if I'm not ranting and raving about it, obviously, I don't think it's material. So just understand that, And I'm not trying to sound like I'm pissed off. I guess I am sounding like I'm pissed off, but it gets frustrating when, there was a big put buyer in NVIDIA, and I'm seeing members talking about it when, I didn't even mention it. And there's a reason why I didn't mention it. So you guys don't get fooled into losing money off it. It's hard enough with the better action out there. And yeah, so that was the last thing. Again, this is on private Twitter for the members. If you are a member, the most important thing to pay attention to is the commentary and color after the action. Okay, that's why you're a member. I'm digging in to the flow, the overall activity, to elaborate more on the order that you just saw. All right. And if you're not in front of your screen all day, I get it. You know what I mean? It's some people have other things to do, other work or whatever the case may be. That's why each and every day I've been working on being more efficient for members who aren't around all day to have access to what took place that day. All right. So again, the private Twitter, you have the recaps. In the room, the filter tab, the market update section. Now, that sweeper report, which we're working on getting directly on the wallstreetjesus.com site, and you can have a user ID and password. All right, so each and every day, we're trying to improve that for all the members who aren't around all day. So basically, you could get a quick synopsis on, yeah, exactly, Alex, right? Today's top bets. Sometimes I'll post a video of like TradingView and stuff like that. So working on that. Initially I thought everybody was like me in front of the screen all day. You know what I mean? Took me a little bit to realize a lot of players aren't glued to their seat all day and may just pop in and want to see, what's noteworthy that took place. All right, the last thing you want to do is come in and look at the board and be like this. Oh shit, Google, $1 million block. I gotta buy some Google calls. You don't want to do that. Okay? If you have to ask me, that's why you're here. Ask me if you're unsure. But chances are, if you're not finding any commentary around the order, it's meaningless. Completely meaningless, in my opinion. Joey, you'll get the hang of it. All right. So it wasn't supposed to be a rant. I know it got a little rantish, if that's a word. But the whole ball of wax, okay? Because again, we're open to everybody, and I just wanted to allow people to get a better idea of what we do here and differentiate what we do from a lot of copycat stuff out there. Okay, not just copycat off me, but a lot of copycat off the whole flow process that's just really different. All right, really different. All right, so anybody have any questions about the rant? Anybody have any questions or anything to add about anything I mentioned? Tim. Just winners, please. We'll try that. All right. Yeah, so a rolling bear market, what I mean by that, a rolling bear market, this market, like if you look at the indices, right? If you look at SPY, basically, it looks like it started just rolling over here, right? In October. But what was happening under the hood, okay, there were sectors that were deteriorating all year from the start of the year, even as the market was going higher. Okay, the semiconductors, all right, a name like LRCX, which is a beast. All right, you can see here, look, we're topped out. March. So even though the markets continued higher, look at what LRCX was being ripped apart. Ripped apart. All right, and nobody really, especially at first, knew what was going on. Why? Oh, the trade war, or is it this, quantitative tightening? You know, nobody knew what was going on. Then the fundamentals started to deteriorate in the semi-complex, okay? And, you know, this last quarter, they announced their earnings. They weren't as bad as expected from what I read, okay? They weren't great. They weren't bad as expected, and the stock just went bonkers. All right, and it's everything. URI, United Rentals. I don't know if you guys follow this name, but same thing. You know, look, start of the year, top. Whoop, wiped out. And then an awful quarter, and the stock traded higher. You know, MHK, we were talking about that. Mohawk, right? I mean, their quarter was abysmal. Like, it was bad. Stock gapped up off the earnings. All right, these are building supplies names. Masco, same thing. Now look at this. This is annihilation. Look at this. Whoop. Okay, so earnings, and this is what I was referring to earlier in the webinar when I started off. You know, everybody knew this quarter, or was expecting this quarter to be pretty bad. Okay, but chances are that's why the stock did this for the whole year. All right, so that was a rolling bear market. It started off sector by sector. Eventually, it caught FANG, tech, and the indices in October. All right, so now what we're starting to see, and you've heard me mention just this morning, even on Twitter, what I mean by the cleanest rally that I've seen. Okay, let's take, for example, the rally off the February volatility panic attack, right? Not everything participated. I just showed you there were stocks and sectors getting crushed in this rally. This rally didn't make sense to me. It wasn't clean. It didn't feel real. All right, people were plowing into FANG names and stuff like that. You know, same tech names over and over and over again. You know, for me, that's not bullish. All right. So what's different this go around, and especially based on sweeper activity, they're hitting everything. They're hitting everything from $2 stocks to construction names to software names to biotech names to Caterpillar to DR Horton. Name it. Name a group, they hit it. That's a rally. That's a rally. All right. And then what starts to happen, okay, after eventually this as a whole is going to slow down. I'm not trying to sound like a wise ass, but you know, you don't need to be a market aficionado to know that. And what happens is when you get that breather, you're going to start to see the sectors, and we're already starting to see it a little bit, if you ask me, but you're going to see the sectors, the new leaders start to really emerge. All right, because what happens is everyone stares at Amazon because the stock has been the stock, right, forever. And they're going to wonder why maybe it's not going, you know, not running like it's supposed to run. But what they're missing, you know, they're missing out on the explosion underneath the hood. Remember I was telling you guys where I made all my money in this game? off the tech bubble in 99? Remember when I told you that? All right. And remember how I told you when the tech bubble blew up, everybody was staring at the same internet, Cisco, all those names. And underneath the hood, the small caps were unconscious. Unconscious. All right. So I saw it right in front of me. At that time, I was a broker. There was everybody crying the blues about these big tech names because all these guys did was trade the same names over and over. They only had a watch list of the same 8 names for years of that bull market. All right, so as those 8 names did nothing and had lower, they weren't aware of a whole universe of stocks that were in a raging bull market. And I think that's the beauty of flow and sweeper activity. It gets our eyeballs on stuff we probably never even knew existed. We're seeing it already. You know what I mean? We're seeing it already. Stocks, that are foreign to us because, again, especially you guys love it. Trading Facebook, Netflix, Tesla, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, right? Buy Amazon, it goes up, sell it. 2 days later, buy Amazon higher. So then that might change. Yeah, and I mean, a couple of you guys are asking about the market being stressed. What I think, again, from my experience, what usually happens when you finally do get consolidation, okay, the same thesis underneath the hood, that even though the market, the indices may not be doing much consolidating, individual names are where the outperformance is. You know what I mean, DK? So if you think about it, and you think about this too, like a lot of traders, for good reason, were saying it, I'm just done picking stocks. I'm just going to trade the indices. Hell, that's why a lot of people just traded FANG. I remember we were joking around. We were saying, like, why in a world would like a URI, what was it even like? That's a bad example, but there were stocks that were, why are they even public? Who the hell buys these things? Remember a couple of you guys, we had that discussion in the room like months back in the summer. We were like, who would ever buy these things right now? Why are they even public? Nobody had an interest in them. And I think now what we're going to see is a lot of that stuff that got ignored start to see interest. Why? Because there's value there. They've been ignored for ages. So eventually when some of the hot stuff and the good stuff that we really like to trade take a breather, that's what my feeling is that can happen. Okay, but it's easy. Again, we go back to the process. What's kept me kind of protected, okay, off the process of sweeper activity and sentiment, all right? If they are not sweeping new stuff, okay, if they're not buying new names, if there's not initial activity out there that I'm looking to buy, okay, then I'm not buying anything. And chances are they're not buying for a reason, and the market may need to come in. So forget the put action and all that stuff. Again, the put sweepers, they can generate momentum on an extreme short-term basis when they come in those waves. We know that, okay? But as far as getting an idea of what the market environment may look like, it all comes down to the buying. The buying tells us everything we need to know, right? Rewind through the summer all the way up until January. We were complaining of awful sweeper activity. Okay, the market would get oversold, bearish extreme sentiment. what they buy. Facebook, Apple, SPY, right? The same crap over and over. The market would squeeze, no more buying. Then the market would roll over, we see put buyers. Okay? The difference now, okay, here, you see this little pullback? This little tiny pullback right here? Remember that? All right? They automatically, instantly, the last couple names we bought were off that pullback. Okay, the last couple names that a lot of us traded off good looking action were off that pullback. The Conagra, the DHI, whatever, you know, all those names. All those names. All right, so that's what we need to keep an eye on. Whether you want to trade those names or not is irrelevant. That will tell us if there's an appetite for risk still out there and whether we can get, you know, some outperformance in individual names. Do I think markets are going to crash soon? I don't know, Michael, if that's a serious question, but it goes to, you know, goes to show you some of the sentiment out there. I mean, I don't even know how to approach that question. If I thought the market would crash soon, I'd be shorting everything, buying puts and everything, and I wouldn't be sounding like I was talking right now, would I? But who do you think anybody knows whether the market's going to crash soon? DK, for me, I want consolidation. You know what I mean? I want consolidation. Here's my fear, though. My fear that I think the market's doing what it's doing right now for two reasons. You have retail not involved, and you have institutions not involved. Okay? Even if they're bullish, okay, let's say the bears, we know why they're not involved. But the bulls aren't involved. They want to pull back. Now, from my experience, the market usually doesn't give them that pullback. It forces them to chase, and then we get the pullback. You know what I mean? That's what usually happens. So, and the smart money out there, Sentiment Trader had a couple of good charts out there over the last week. I'll show you guys. Hold on. Sentiment Trader, again, a ton of information on there. You could get dizzy, but you know, he's got some good stuff if you know what you're looking for here. Hold on. I want to show you two charts that were really interesting. All right. DK, you'll probably appreciate this. The institutions, in other words, Potbelly, if you look at the flows, okay, the fund flows, they've gotten involved in a big way by now, and they haven't. Okay, so you had the biggest outflow in a long, long time in December. Everybody out. Capitulation, no doubt about it. Out. Okay, and you had a rally, a snapback rally like this, and they still haven't got back in? It's amazing. It's amazing. All right, here's one interesting chart. All right, so this is the smart money. There's no doubt about it. This is the smart money. Okay, and you guys know off the COT data and all that. These are the hedgers, they call them. Right? So when they're concerned about a market rolling over, they're hedged completely. Okay? When they aren't concerned and they're bullish, they take all their hedges off. Okay? You hear smart money being thrown around a lot. All right? They are the definition of smart money. Okay? And for the first time that I can remember, off a V-shaped bottom like this, they got in and chased. It's amazing. These guys usually are at the bottom. Like, look here. See here? This is what I'm trying to, the point I'm trying to make. You see this? Okay. These guys are nailing lows. They just got in here. And that's why we're seeing the market strength. You know? All right. So, DK, that's why I think that this market hasn't taken a breather yet. And it's doing what it's doing right now. These guys are usually nailing this low. Boom. This rally caught a lot of people by surprise. And you know what it was? You had the holidays, DK. I know it sounds like an excuse, but the holidays, you know, when you got something like this happen around the holidays, nobody around, it can catch a lot of people off guard. All right, so that's one. And the other chart I wanted to show you guys that you've seen before. Let me see if I can find it. And bear with me a second. Is this it? Hold on. That's not it. Hold on. I hope I have it here. Is this it? No. All right. The other one was, dang it. I thought I had it here. The hedge funds, which a lot of, oh, here. Yeah. All right. This is not, I think this is 2 days ago, but it's pretty much similar. So now this is hedge fund exposure, right? And we know what happened to them in December. A lot of them got wiped out, okay? You got a market storing back, and look where they are. What usually happens is these. Whoop, this is what usually happens. Okay, see how they got caught off guard here? And what they have to do? They waited. They thought they were outsmarting the market, and then they chased. Yeah, a lot of them wiped out in December, DK. A lot of them wiped out. So, I mean, and hedge funds, again, they're not considered smart money anymore. They're actually a contrarian play now. They've been so bad. But, you know, these guys, they can't afford to not be involved. So, in my opinion, they got limited time here. They're hoping, I think, for a dip, right? So they can buy that dip. Okay, if they don't get that dip, I don't think they can afford to not be involved because they'll be out of business. You know, so that's what we have, DK, here, and it's throwing everything for a loop. Okay, because by every measure, the market is due for a breather. Okay, it's pretty obvious. But that, in my opinion, those are the reasons, DK, we're not getting that breather. And, or, you know, these breathers are short-lived. Like right here, even, right? We had a little sideways action. There was just, the buyers were there on any little dip. It was amazing. It was amazing. All right, so we'll see. You know, again, I don't know, you know, the names that are severely overextended here for me are tricky. I think you have to wait for pullbacks in some of these names or consolidation. But what I'm hoping is the flow remains the same and they continue to pick their spots. Like, look what they did, okay, just last week. They came in, they hit energy again, a couple good looking names, right? CVX, Hess. All right, these things aren't as overextended as some of the other stuff out there. This one was the best one, APC. Look where this thing was. At the dead lows. You know, so I'm hoping there's a lot of stocks out there that have been mangled, okay? A lot. And I'm hoping they still find spots even as the markets consolidate. Another quick point, you know, we had to rely on the market for everything for such a long time. The market would go up, then stocks would go up. The market went down, stocks went down. That's not always the case. It's been the case for a long time, and that's why people trade the same names and been playing SPY and ES. But that's not always the case. I've been through many markets, okay, where the indices aren't doing anything, right? Or the popular riffraff names aren't doing anything, but there's still stocks moving or still sectors moving. So I think that's what we got to keep an eye out for. It becomes more of a stock picker thing. And, I know a lot of you guys don't like that, but I like that. I definitely like that. And it's just a healthier environment. You know what I mean? It's a healthier environment. If it was Amazon, Google, you know what I mean, Netflix, Facebook, the same stocks just going up and up and up, and all we see are the same sweepers rolling and rolling and rolling. That can't last. That doesn't last. That doesn't last. If you remember what has held this market up for such a long time, that constant rotation. Remember that? Feels like so long ago. The banks got hot. They need to chill out. They go into tech. Tech got hot. They relax. They go into biotech. Yeah, that's what I mean, DK. Those names, they're cooked, They're cooked. For me, like on a risk-reward basis, I think the beauty out of coming out of corrections like this, the potential to find the new FANG. You know what I mean? The new leaders. That's the beauty out of coming out of phases like this. So that's what we got to keep our eyes on. I think you're missing the big picture when you start to look at the same names over and over. Yeah, like look at what they did to these software names that you guys are mentioning right out of this correction. These things have lost their mind. They have lost their mind. So when there's a breather and people are worried about the market and get all bearish that's where you have to start looking at flow again to see where they come back into these names. Yeah, they're nuts. Now these are nuts. And I think that's what a lot of people are looking at and getting a little jittery about the market. They're looking at some of the hottest names out there. But 80% of the market doesn't look like this. 80% of the market doesn't look like this. I mean, look at the flow a lot of us have been playing, and you see what I'm talking about. DHI doesn't look like that, right? Conagra for sure doesn't look like that. That had a nice move too, that little son of a gun. Caterpillar doesn't look like that. Right, the Mohawk. I mean, there's so many. I can rattle off 500 names to you guys that, look nothing like that. And some look healthier than others, right? Like this EW I played. Look, this, now it's a little cooked, but this thing is not as bad as some of these semis, parabolic. All right, these are bullish charts that a lot of you guys like to play. Abbott Labs, I don't like to buy highs as much, but I know some of you guys do, or write off highs. Abbott Labs, there's Sony, this is not hot by no means. So there's a lot of stuff out there that's still, and again, the small names too. That's what has really piqued my interest. A name like SE that sees that type of activity. This is not spec action I'm talking about, somebody rolling a dice on some potential rumor. This is somebody positioning at the time, an $11 stock. It's 16 now. You know? And this is what I was referring to where I made all my money in my career. It was stocks like this, $5, $10 that were doubling in 3 months, 2 months, some quicker. Some quicker than that. So that's why you got to keep your eyes peeled. You got to broaden your horizons here. You know what I mean? There will be names that you guys know and are familiar with and like to trade. And there'll be names set up a little better than others. Yeah, and I mean that TME is another one. That was a great trade. I'm still holding some of this TME just in case it goes cuckoo. You just listen. The main thing here, and you guys hear me talk about this over and over, you gotta just be careful chasing. That's all. Because what happens when you chase, even if you're right, okay, even when you're right, if you're playing options, you're going to end up taking a loss because you're worried about running out of time, etc. Allow things to breathe and wait for better setups. You want to buy them out of consolidation. Again, unless you're flipping. For positions, you want to allow them to breathe. The banks were a perfect example of that, right? The banks, if you bought the highs, you probably stopped yourself out by now. And all it is consolidation. All it is consolidation. I'll tell you though, the initial action, DK, that came at the tailor end of that correction, that's a couple names I wanted to hold on to there, and I couldn't hold on to them. This QSR, look at this thing. Now I had this thing Yelp at the lows. They all would have been really nice at this point, every single one of them. But what are you going to do? Now the market, looks great. Then the market looked like I started to hammer the nails back into the bunker over there, MJ. Yeah, AMD, they all look good. Like these semis, that's the one sector that pisses me off the most because I wanted to hit these hard. This is my favorite group to play when they're out of favor, and they just ran away from me too quick. This NXPI, this thing's a beast, and they're still unloading up here, unloading on the call side. This NXPI, look at it. Look at this. Okay. All right. Whoever was asking me about that rolling bear market, this is February, the top. Okay. This thing has been in a vicious downtrend since a year now, for a whole year. That's a legitimate bear market. That's not a correction. You know what I mean? And now we're seeing call activity like crazy. Yeah, Xilinx was holding up even through the correction. Look at this. But even some of the old beauties coming back into play. Micron looking better. LRCX. Oh, you know which one I like too? Texas Instruments. That had some nice action. They're all starting to really look good. Some of them too good. Intel, that's a perfect call PSK on this Intel, because if you remember what happened, Intel started rallying and then you had earnings in the way, right? And then what happened? It gapped down off earnings. And then the call sweepers came right back and tattooed it. You guys know, a lot of us had this thing. And now look at it now. WDC, there's so many, right? There's so many. So that's, again, do these semis, eventually they're going to need to breathe, okay? That's only fair. That's physics of the market. Happens. All right. And then that's where, if you like these things, you have to really pay attention to the flow, and not not get discouraged and not turn away and only look at the things that are going higher. When they go dead, that's where you're looking for another entry. Bristol Myers, slow, but you know, there's some big flow in these names. Look at this. Is this extended? Initial buying off the gap down. That's your initial entry, right? Had a nice move. So a lot of you guys sold it right here, which, trust me, I'm not going to ever abuse. But, you know, you had another little breather here. They hit it again. You know, this is, look at this. And, you know, nobody's interested now, but I guarantee you, once this thing starts trading mid-50s, you're going to hear everybody talking about Bristol Myers. But that's not where the flow provides an edge. The sweeper activity provides an edge down here when nobody's paying attention. You know, down here when nobody's paying attention. But I told you guys, my watch list now, I can't keep up with my watch list. There's so many freaking names on them. And coming out of this summer, I had nothing. You give me a sector, and I'll give you the names with top action in them. Think about that for a second. You give me any sector out there you're interested in, and I'll give you the top action. You want risky biotech? What's that? It was CRBP? Yep. Oh, Raj, energy utility. That's easy. NRG. Easy. What else you got? What other sectors? Fast food sector, Mickey D just caught some flow on Friday. The best action in the group has been this QSR, but she's had a nice move here off the lows. Yeah, I've been posting it, but I'll post it later today, Tim. What else? What else you guys got? What other sectors? You think I'm kidding? You know, you think I'm kidding? You know, you want hot stuff? I got hot stuff. You got software, ZS, RNG. Is that the symbol? That's gone though now. Look at this RNG. Cybersecurity. Isn't ZS cybersecurity, Maria? I could be wrong. They are, right? Yeah, a couple of people saying they are. Yep. So ZS, you know, had a beautiful December sweep. I mean, as good as it gets in that name. As good as it gets. What other sectors you got going on? Yeah, Walmart, you got earnings. Otherwise, Walmart has had decent flow. You're right, Jonathan. Walmart has had solid flow. But you have earnings there. If you get weakness off earnings, that's your ticket right there, Jonathan. If you get a sell-off or earnings, no matter what the earnings are, they could be depression-like. If you see some sweeper activity post-earnings, that's your ticket. I mean, look at the gaming stocks. I couldn't even play them, and I'm telling you what to look for. I couldn't even play these things off flow off earnings, and look what they did post-earnings. Look at this. Look at this. This EA is psychotic. You know, even the other ones started to move a little. This Take-Two off the lows. You know, but this EA, I don't know what the hell that is. That's craziness. Home builders right now, DHI. You know, Lennar has had real nice flow. LEN. We mentioned BMY. Yeah, IPO stocks, Ani, I always have an interest in. That is where that TME fits the bill. Mining stocks, yeah, there's been flow in mining stocks. Let me think. You want a little guy? Umana Gold, AUY. Oh, you had a nice pullback there now. This thing was a little too hot. Now you got to pull. PAAS. That's a silver name, I think. There's another silver name with an A. I don't really play miners, but I see the flow there. There's definitely flow in some of them. Is it AG? That might be it. Yeah, AG. Silver, right? That's it. Good call, Evan. But yeah, you think I'm kidding? Every sector, this wasn't the case. Any of the rally we had. NIO, I own it personally, but for a long-term play, that's my little lotto ticket there. The NIO, that's electric cars and stuff, right? You had the weed go bonkers, but they went bonkers, But the best action there, ACB, Cron. Cron caught a little action. Was it Friday? Had some flow again? But these things, they're a little too hot for my blood. Are you serious? Oh my God. That's crazy, DK. Oh, NIO. Oh God. That's crazy. Yeah, and they got one big guy who owns a ton of it, right? That NIO. He owns a big position in it. Yeah, that's my lotto ticket. Trust me, if it wasn't a lotto ticket, I would have been out of it on this run here. I had $2 clean in it, $2, and I didn't take it. So, but I'm telling long term, I'm talking about. Like, forget about it long term. I'm rolling the dice there. Yeah, Cron had some flow. Yeah, these things, I mean, personally, I would try to be a little more nimble now, rather than trying to catch a big move. But you do have a little breather there anyway. They can move, though. You see action into red, they can move. What else do we have? Some of those hot names had a little bit of a pullback, and they bought them already. Data. Right? Here's the Earl earnings. Sell on the news. Yeah, that's a big sell, huh? And then what happened? Boom. Sweeper. Stock was up 5 the next day. Stock was up 5 the next way. Zen, there was some action in Zen, I remember, but this is the reason I couldn't get excited about it. Yeah, I need a breather there for me to look at it. Crazy. This is software, right, PSK? Jesus. Some of the moves in software are insane. Insane. Yeah, and that's what I mean. Even some of the garbage of garbage has had flow. Like, here's a perfect example, okay? OSTK. There's some action there, squeezes. Again, you don't want to chase green in this thing, even for a trade. But, even stuff like this is catching action. Fetch. Sean, a couple people in the room bought some stock equity in it just to buy it. Who the hell's sweeping this thing? But I heard the company's not that bad, meanwhile, Sean. They do, yeah, it just came public, and they sell like stuff online platform, luxury goods. Yeah, I don't know. They have a little bit of open interest in, nothing, it's tiny, but yeah, they have options. They swept it on Friday, MJ. They swept it on Friday. Yeah, it was a little sweep. The only thing is you got earnings March, but I don't even know earnings. probably can't even be bad for this. I'm being honest with you. Does anybody even know who this is? Yeah, DK. A lot of under the hood names that have been ignored for a long time. You know what I mean? Names that wouldn't catch action because they didn't do anything. You couldn't even blame them for not catching flow because they never did anything. They're now starting to play that stuff aggressively. TEX George, was it? I think there was something in TEX Friday. Let me double check. Hold on. I don't know if it was a block. Dropbox had some flow. We were talking about that. I think they got earnings coming up soon. This was it. Oh, it was a block. That's why, George, I didn't remember it. You had an unusual opening block anyway, but it was a block. This is building supplies? What is this? Or is it chemicals? No, it's building supplies. Ooh. You know what? This is interesting with earnings. Good call, George. Yeah, I would definitely keep my eye on it off earnings. Another name, and I know a lot of you guys don't care about it, but there's enough of us who do. There's enough of us who care about these names. ABB. This thing was littered with action. You know, this is my point, DK, that I was making. What, like, ABB, this thing for the past year and change, like, nobody even knew this was public. You know? Who the hell was buying this thing over the last year and change? So, you know, now stock from 30 down to 18. Look at this. Yeah, I mean, options wise, you know, DK, no one's you're not gonna catch a move in this, right? You're gonna sweep calls in this. So, but now they're finding these things, and see, and that's what, like what DK's talking about. That's what the point I'm trying to make. Okay, I'm sure there were buyers on dips in all these equities, but when you see aggressive call sweeper activity in these type of names, it tells you a lot about what's going on. You know what I mean? They're expecting moves, tradable moves on the option side, right? They're trying to get levered up on the option side in these things. There's juice. You know, this ABB is not a name. Yeah, that's right. They were rumored as a buyout name, right? This is the best action we've seen in ABB in a while. Now, you have earnings coming up there, and it's a must watch. MJ. You know, and the Chinese names, a lot of them have had nice runs. You know, the IQs of the world. Baba will continue to see flow. You know, so keep your eyes on everything. Keep your eyes on everything. Healthcare. PYX is that? I think that's weed. Isn't that weed? Or no? Oh, they're getting into weed or something. Yeah. I think I heard about it because of the move. PYX. Crazy. Tim, what? Baba 166, 169. What's that? Oh, major level. Mr. Option Trader Tim is saying big level here. Yeah, and you know, this is something again, you want to I got the weekly up. That's why it doesn't look like much. Hold on. You know, you had a nice move, breather here, but Baba's tough with the flow because it catches a lot of action. So you can't really get a gauge on an uptick. You know, you can't, there's a lot of flow around the name. See, some of the other names that don't catch as much flow, they stick out like a sore thumb when they get in them. And listen, the Fang names, I mean, right now, the only thing that's catching half decent action is Netflix, catching real nice action. But nothing else, Facebook, little spec garbage. Apple's even seen size put sweeper activity, to be honest. So Apple, nothing really. Amazon, we haven't seen anything. Google's been quiet. Netflix is the only name that's been catching some legit action. J&J, I don't remember seeing too much. I know it's nice bounce. There's been flow in it, but nothing noteworthy of late. Nothing noteworthy of late. Some of the others, did we see? Yeah, APTV might have been the call sweeper of the week, to be honest. This APTV. This thing caught a missile. A missile. Same thing, look at this. Wiped out from May. One big one. There was smaller ones that day around it, but just one, yeah. But it was big. It was a big bet for that name. Aggressive bet, big bet. Trying to think of it. Oh, let me go to this first. So this was the action. Friday was a messy day, but you had monthly expiration off a big rally. So you got puts, protection needs to be replaced, right? Anybody who had February protection expiring, so you got to replace it. That's why we saw all those block of puts all over the place. And on the call side, same thing, a lot of rolling of profitable positions. So, it's a messy day. It's a messy day. But now that Feb is gone, the month, the expiration for the options, things should really start to clear up. Really clear up. What the hell did this get on here? This was a block. But anyway, it leaves. So here's some of the sweeper activity, the Wise Guy sweeper activity from Friday. Again, some of it may roll. BKS, this is a nice sweep. They have earnings, though. Barnes & Noble. God almighty. When's earnings? Yeah, earnings here. I knew earnings. March 7th. Look, I can't believe they're still around. Barnes & Noble's still around, but caught a sweep. Bank of America, little sweeper action. This little guy, they started early in him, UXIN. I think there's earnings there too. This had a nice move on Friday. Anybody know this little guy? Oh, no earnings? UXIN. The hell is this? I remember looking at it, but it's like a fog. I can't remember. Anybody know this name? See what I mean? A $4 stock. This is a China name? Wow. Off a buy. I got to remember to keep an eye on this thing. I thought they had earnings. I don't know why. I'm going to take a further look at that UXIN. I don't know why I didn't look at it. Bank of America, Caesars. There's been some news there now. Again, buyout news. LB, Victoria's Secret. You got a lot of. Oh, this was another bet that caught my eye that I'm going to keep an eye on. Berry. This also, once upon a time, was a used car platform. Chinese. Interesting. Yeah, I'm going to take a little further look at that UXIN when we get off of here. BERY, if I'm not mistaken, they make the bottles for like Snapple. Berry. I thought they were bought out. Apparently, they're still around. Okay. So you had some unusual activity post earnings, nothing big, but again, enough to get my eyeballs on it. All right. Because there might be something bigger coming. March 55s. Why are they sweeping this name post earnings? And again, this is just the epitome of what we've been seeing. Names like this catching action that have been dead. Oh, DPS. Wait, DPS, that is Snapple, isn't it? Oh, no, maybe MJ, you're right. That's what I was thinking of. DPS was Snapple, wasn't it? I don't know. Now you confused me, but I think you're right, MJ. Yeah. I remember there was some buyout rumors around this name once upon a time. Yeah, I think they make the bottles, plastic bottles, maybe. I don't know. Now I'm confused. But it doesn't matter. Yeah, it could be I was thinking about that. This, I don't know. I'll take a further look at this too. But anyway, a name to, you guys are bored, take a deeper look this weekend on that berry. Because that's unusual sweep there. They don't sweep that name. RDN. This is insurance. Had a big day Friday. Sweeper activity. What else we got? HOLX. By the way, a couple biotech names. I know you guys like to play biotechs, but we're seeing more and more, and even smaller biotechs. They've been doing well too. Look at this HOLX. This is repeat activity. Look at this. You see what I mean, though? This thing caught sweeper activity. This is repeat action, and look at her now. Can't ignore these things, man. You can't. They start to catch sweepers, you can't ignore them. Yeah, ARRY. The only thing I would be afraid of at this point, you had a big move and there's news coming, isn't there? On this ARRY? Any day? Aren't they due for some approval? Anyway, look at this move. All right, and here's another one, okay? If this was any other sector but risky biotech, I mean, we would all load up on this thing. CRBP. Do they have anything coming? Anybody know this? CRBP? Look, you got a nice move already. Tradable move, though. MJ saying the new ticker for Snapple, KDP. That's the new ticker. Let me see. Oh, yeah. Wow. My God, MJ. Oh, my God. Yeah, so CRBP, I would, again, you got to chase here, wait for a breather. Nothing coming? You got to be kidding me, PSK. Yeah, this was worth a shot if you had nothing coming. So keep an eye on it. Maybe you get a little one of these here. See 2-3, get a little breather, and it gives you another entry. This is not new highs. But once she gets up above there, she might be good night. Yeah, exactly, MJ. You don't want to chase. You're going to get robbed on the option side, and then cry the blues. Yeah, ABBV caught a block. I thought it was a sweeper initially. I got all excited, Jonathan. I got all excited. I thought it was a sweep initially, and I was, where that name is right now, that would have been perfect. But what are you going to do? We'll keep an eye on it for sweeps. VKTX. You guys probably saw off Bloomberg the thing I posted, the short position. So, I mean, one thing you got to keep in mind with this, we know of a short out there, and it could be him hedging. Okay, so let's see, VKTX. Short sellers borrowed an additional 1.7 million shares of Viking Therapeutics over the past week. The stock is rallied 15% following Gilead failing non-alcoholic, blah, blah, blah. More than 43% of Viking shares for trading are now sold short. Oh, my God. So half the float shorted on VKTX. Keep an eye on that sucker. Oh, my God. That's crazy. I wonder if they make this guy feel pain now that everybody knows he's short. Very possible. CRBP is a pot stock. Where are you guys when this thing catches initial activity? This is where we need this type of information. You guys see a sweep in a name like this? I don't care if it's a small sweep or whatever the case. You got a little sizzle that you find out. You got to let us know. You know, like, honestly, I was asking in the room, nobody was responding. The one thing I was worried about that maybe they're up for approval. You got to be careful there. You know? And a lot of these things are prone to catch action when they're going for approval. You don't want that stuff. When there's no catalyst, obvious catalyst in sight, and they start sweeping, that's where you want to get these biotechs. But yeah, they hit this name nice here on this day, early in the day. It was a nice day trade, and then they hit it again on Friday. Smaller flow prior to that. No, Ani, you know, I was getting around to doing that, and I get so tied up during the day that I do not. I got to find a better way for you guys to communicate with me. I don't go on Twitter. I'm just posting. I don't go on there much. On my regular Twitter, forget it. Sometimes I see your replies on regular Twitter and I write to you. Otherwise, I haven't looked at replies in ages. But I got to start. Yeah, I'm bad with responding because MJ, I'm in the room all day. I'm looking at the flow. That's why. Oh, I appreciate that, MJ. I appreciate that. Yeah, and we're seeing some of the more and more biotech action. You know, more and more. Lilly, Pfizer had a little bit of action. I haven't seen anything juicy yet. Bristol Myers, Onslaught. We even seen Gilead flow. I wouldn't buy it with your money, but we're seeing some flow. Forget Gilead. Forget Gilead. There's enough biotechs and big pharma. You don't need to buy Gilead. A Widowmaker. Oh, here's one too. Abbott. Again, it's just a preference thing for me. I don't like buying highs. You know, some of you may be looking at this and saying breakout or whatever you guys look at, you technicians. Oh, Maria, let me tell you something. And we were saying, you know, obviously, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That trade was the epitome to what we're all talking about over the last couple webinars. That is a bullish, that EFA bazooka basically tells the whole story of what's going on here. You know, somebody just said, I'm placing a big ass bet on a global rally. When you see action like that in this thing, it's noteworthy to say the least. To say the least. Yep. I saw that, DK. Yep. Yeah, you know, sometimes, you know what happens with these things, Maria, some of these ETFs, you're like, is the move going to be worth it? Because sometimes they're slow, you know? But even the way I look at it, Maria, even if you're not playing EFA specifically, it just adds to your confidence on the bullish side, period. You know what I mean? You're going to be tied to it no matter what. But when you see that type of action in that thing, they do well in that too. It's just slow. It's slow. Similar to like ASHR when they get bullish China. Look at this. They unloaded. Remember, Maria? They unloaded on this, the Chinese one, ASHR. That was into the lows. That's a 4-point move there on a $20 ETF. Yeah, FXI is the China one. This ASHR, though, is China. What is it, China exactly? The CSI something? Oh, it says it here. 3 A shares, yeah. But yeah, we saw heavy action into the lows. And a couple of you guys remember, a couple of you guys traded it. I traded it, and we sold it as soon as we got the pop. But, it's slow. It's slow. It's slow. So, yeah, so basically that's it. One more thing I just wanted to touch on before we, what's this? Who the hell's calling me during a webinar? Touch on before we go here. We'll talk about a little on the sentiment front because we haven't yet. All right, so here's where we stand. Again, this is the key signals we look at on a day-to-day basis. Flow, we know. There's a couple interesting things here. The short-term sentiment, okay, that actually got hot off Friday's action, right? That's expected. Squeezometer did nothing. Now, I don't know if that's because it was an expiration day, but then I look, Nova Ursa did nothing. I'm still not seeing that all-in bullish reading out there. I know we discussed that already, with the fund flow, the hedge funds, and blah, blah, blah. But, I'm still not seeing Nova Ursa at neutral. They're the biggest degenerates out there, these guys. Any little rally, they're all in. Any little rally, they're all in. So it's just people, even the bulls, are looking for a pullback, and that's why this market continues to run away. So we'll see if they capitulate this week at some point. Maybe they will. So what this tells us here, this in particular, again, just look for weakness. Weakness is the opportunity, in my opinion. Any weakness you see call sweeper activity into, like we've been seeing, is an opportunity for at least a trade. All right. And as far as giving a longer leash to things, you just, the more they haven't moved, the more they've been wrapped up in consolidation, I think the bigger the leash you can give to these things. Yeah, Boeing's been hot, no? Jesus. See, like this, for example, I'm glad you brought that up, DK. Like a Boeing, if you're going to buy this up here, that's what I think that short-term sentiment's telling us. There's some pockets of heat out there like this. All right, so, you got to be careful with that stuff of a pullback, okay? Not of a crash, of a pullback, and look for stuff that are just better set up. Like we were saying, we were hoping for a sweeper, it was a block. This ABBV is not hot. All right, so that's why, you got to take it name by name here. Again, it's a different market. It's a different market. You can't brush the whole, every name here with the same paint. I just made up that saying off the top of my head. Yeah, this looks good. They have approval or anything, Ani? This looks good to me. I mean, you had a monster move, and this is textbook breather off that. Textbook. Again, why you don't want to chase up here for that bigger move, because you could get caught in this. And look, it's lasted a nice amount of time. And she catches flow, this thing. Catches a lot of flow. P-I. How many eyes? Pill? Is that the symbol? I think you get the wrong ticker there. Amarin has data due March 18th, Maria saying. AMRN. Oh, that's coming up not too far. So just keep an eye out there with the data on some of these biotechs. There's only one way to approach biotechs, guys. You got to put in what you're willing to lose. Otherwise, you're playing around with dynamite. If you get caught in one of these things and they halt, oh, fish oil pill, Amarin. I thought the symbol was pill you were giving me. Oh, boy. What are the names? Spot. That's been starting to move too, right? A little bit. Wow. Wow. Started to boogie. Post earnings too. Son of a gun. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, guys. Again, why I've been excited, feel bullish. This is why. Again, there's so much action and so many names. You can't play them all. You can't play them all. Like, think about what we came from. We just spoke about that. We would see one half decent sweep, we would get excited. We saw Neil Diamond and we acted like we saw Jesus Christ. Now a slow day, there's 3 names that you're not crazy about. So that's good signs. Again, that doesn't mean the market's going to go up forever. It doesn't mean we're going to Dow 80,000. It just tells us that right now it's risk on. And, the opposite of that would be they're not buying any new stuff. And then we would have to worry. Yes, we did. We did it without Bazooka Joe. There were definitely some missiles, but we did it without Bazooka Joe. Yeah, Bazooka Joe would have looked like that EFA flow into the lows. That was Bazooka Joe. Underbelly Joes. Good point, Ani. Good point. And listen, you never know, right? You never know. We could have this market eventually could get punched in the mouth, right? Let's see. The summer rolls around. This market gets punched, rolls over for a month, and then Bazooka Joe shows up there. And you get that gigantic W. Because, I don't know. What you guys think, new highs and beyond? Who the hell knows? Yeah, who knows? JLNG. That's an oil name, I think. Energy Transportation that caught a nice bet. But they got earnings, I think. Let me see. Oh, yeah, here. Earnings February 28th. Yep. But I'll leave it on this note too, okay? Because I got to remind you, we don't want to get too caught up in the markets. Okay, the market. Don't get caught up in the markets. It's under the hood what's going on. That's what's going to matter. Because just like we had the rolling bear market, okay, that nobody noticed until October, we might have the opposite go on. A rolling bull market, that nobody officially catches on to. Grub, yeah, but nothing too exciting. Spec flow in Grub, mostly spec action. There's another software name. Well, she's a little bit higher than. It's higher than initial activity, but you had another entry here. CTXS. So the buying started here. They bought it all the way up, and they've continued to buy it. So keep your eyes on this guy. IGT, that was one of the first trades. we did well with out of the menagerie, out of the correction. SGMS. Look at it. These things have been hammered, man. I would watch SGMS. You got earnings coming up. Keep an eye there. I mean, look at this. Look at this. Whew. Beating. You know, the casinos have looked good. I haven't looked at them in a while because LVS win. Yeah, you're off. See, you're off little pullbacks here. You got to keep your eyes on the flow on some of these things now. See, some of this stuff is already breathing, you know? Some of this stuff is already breathing. Yeah, BHC, real nice action. Our boy Tim loves that stock, but you have earnings. You have earnings coming up February 20th. You had a nice rally, too, there. That's another healthcare name. A lot of healthcare stuff. Anybody else have anything? Yeah, NVAX, you got data coming. Somebody mentioned that recently. This Sony is gone, but that had nice action. Well, gone off the lows. If you get a dip there, you could take a peek at it. SNE. But I wouldn't chase. There's no reason to chase moves here. You know, no reason to chase moves. Anybody have any last healthcare bio names out there? Just because maybe some of these things haven't really moved as much. You had action in that eye into that news and then that pop and reversal. I haven't seen anything yet, but you got earnings coming up. Yeah, Bristol Myers looks good. Grinding. There's a conference this week. ASCO? Really? That's a big conference, right? Interesting. Might get some spec action there we could roll the dice with. I think, Maria, too, isn't there? There's an industrial conference as well this week. I think names like Caterpillar and stuff. Now, even this cat didn't really get going yet. Well, you had some flow, run into earnings, and then post-earnings. Several of you bought the post-earnings gap down. There was some flow. And then, you know, trendy, doing its thing. Oh, I have this MDSO. Anybody know this one? MDSO? Maria in 2009, ASCO's never held in San Francisco. Oh, wow. So, yeah, you got ASCO February to February 16th. Oh, it's over today. Gotcha. Yeah, I think you got the industrial conference this week. Anybody know this MDSO? And then I promise we'll wrap it up here. MDSO, nobody? Got a strange sweep Friday. Let me see what the sweeper was. That's what this weekend I'm going to catch up on all these unusual names here and see. Look at a little guy too. Look at him. What the hell is this guy doing? March 80s. I thought at first it was software. This is not software. I got to find out what this is. This sounds familiar, this name. If I find anything juicy, I'll post it on Twitter and yeah, MJ, right now, the sentiment's telling us the obvious, that on a short-term basis, we could use a little breather, okay? But that takes, could take a day or two, and it washes it all out. But I would focus more on the individual names and not pay attention too much to the indices. Because here's my point. The market could go into a lengthy breather here, okay? Let's say the market finds a way, a range, and chops around here, right? Comes in, chops around. You could have names that are catching sweeper activity still pushing higher. You understand? So if you're too concerned about sentiment and you're like, oh, well, you know, sentiment's too hot, I'm just going to ignore the flow. These names don't need the market. They don't need the market. You know, again, perfect examples like this, Conagra. You know, this thing, you think this cares about what the market's doing? I appreciate that, Mark. I appreciate that. And anybody, listen, anybody who's on Twitter who's new, okay, and some of the terminology sounds foreign, just go to wallstreetjesus.com. You could get the links off my Twitter profile and the strategy section. All right, so you get a better idea what the hell we're talking about here. Not just terminology, how we use this stuff and all that juicy stuff. All right, good. Be good, everybody. I appreciate it. Enjoy the weekend. By the way, casino closed Monday. I can't believe I just figured that out yesterday. The casino is closed Monday. I don't know. Some president's dog died. Some cockamamie excuse they come up with, and they closed the casino. But the racetrack will be open. So that's where you'll find me. And I'll shoot you some footage from there. Enjoy the weekend. Relax, everybody. Yeah, maybe Monday we'll hop on a webinar for futures, Sean. I'll send out a link. All right, be good, guys. Enjoy the weekend. I know, George. That's the only thing I'm even interested in. It trades 24/7. I'm envious.